Everyone, my name is Katie Wilcoxon, and I'm the International Trade Officer and Chief Protocol Officer for the Montana Department of Commerce. I'm joined here today with my colleague Mako Sakaguchi from Japan. She is our trade officer there and represents the state of Montana to the country of Japan. And before we dive in and talk to her a little bit about Japan-Montana trade, I just wanted to give a little bit of background for the Montana-Japan relationship. So Montana is a very large state. We are the same size approximately as Japan. We have 1.2 million people. They have 126 million people. So you can see there's a pretty big disparity between population, but we still have a very strong relationship. Japan is one of Montana's largest trading partners, consistently every year in the top 10, normally within the top 5. And this has been the case for many, many years. But it's not just about trade and buying products, it's also about the relationship. So in 1977, the US ambassador to Japan was Mike Mansfield. And he created a legacy of state connections with Japan that has continued to this day. So we have deep personal connections. He would have said the US-Japan relationship was the most important bilateral relationship in the world, bar none. So with that, I would like to introduce Mako Sakaguchi, my good friend and colleague. She is based in Kumamoto Prefecture, which is a prefecture is the same thing as a state essentially in Japan. And she has been working for the state for over 30 years, Mako, is that right?
No, not yet.
20 years?
Over 20 years, yes.
Over 20 years. And so she's based in Kumamoto. Kumamoto is considered to be a more agricultural province or prefecture in Japan, but it still has over 1 million people in Kumamoto City, which is where she's based. So with that, Mako, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to start working for the state of Montana in Japan to get it started.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mako Sakaguchi. As Katie introduced, I'm a representative of Montana Japan Trade Office. I was born and raised in Kumamoto. And when I was a child, I had 2 dreams. One was to become an architect, and the other was I always wanted to visit US sometime when I grow up. And I got a job at the design firm after studying architecture, but then I still hope to go to US, so I went to study English there. And because Kumamoto and Montana are sister states, I already had a few Montanan friends before I went to Montana. And when I returned to Kumamoto after studying English there, I was working actually for Montanan who used to own import business in Kumamoto, Japan. And a few years later, I discovered this office. And then I got this job. So the total years of I've been working for Montanans will be about 26 years. So about quarter of a century, I'm based in Kumamoto, but I've been working for only Montana.
We're very lucky to have you. And I've had the privilege of working with Mako for the past 8 years. So it's been a little while. So I know you worked on many different parts of the relationship between Montana and Japan, but can you talk a little bit about the trade that goes back and forth between our country, our state and your country, and what that's looked like?
So as Katie mentioned, that Japan is the very large, a good big partner of export of Montana. So it's usually about like 4th, 5th ranks by the countries. And Montana exports a lot of products. The biggest as a quantity wise, I would say the wheat will be the biggest product Montana is exporting to Japan. So if you think about all the wheat export of Montana, about 30% of the wheat export comes to Japan. So we eat a lot of Montana wheat. And other than wheat, Montana also exports chemicals and machineries, and not a huge quantity, but Montana also export music instrument.
Which is a great one. That's over in Bozeman there. Where would you say the opportunities of growth are between Montana and Japan?
I think the world has been changing. For example, when I first got this job over 20 years ago, I probably I was only hearing what Montana's company wants to export was basically ingredients like wheat, barley, not like complete products. But longer the years I've been working for Montana, the situation has changed. Sometimes Montana companies now, they will want to sell, they try to export, or they would like to have a business selling that their techniques or complete products or knowledge or information. So there are still chance to have a lot of business between Montana and Japan. And I cannot pick one industry or products because I always discover there are something new Montana come up and they will contact either Katie or I.
Is there any specific industry that you've worked with lately that you could give an example of something that's been new and upcoming that you've seen recently?
Yes, last few years I've been working with industries more closely to bioscience, and I've been trying to promote photonics and optics. Those photonics and optics are very new concept for me because I didn't even know. So even while I'm working for this job, I keep learning new things about Montana, which is great.
It is great. So I know that there are differences in consumers in Japan and in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about why the Japanese will choose Montana products and what they're looking for when they do that?
This is actually goes back to that, relationship between Kumamoto and Montana. I always find we have a lot in common, and also we have a lot in difference. But seeing the export part, especially Montana is an agriculture state, and Montanans and Japanese, we both care about what we eat and what we buy. So I think we still have a common sense for the business part, because how you treat your products, and that's what we Japanese want. Like we always want to have the best, and we always want to know where it comes from, no matter what, like the food we eat or things we use.
And I think one really good example of that I'll just highlight quickly here is that Montana, or Mako had talked about wheat, and Montana produces a very high protein wheat. So when it goes to Japan, they frequently will take it and grind it down for flour that they use for noodles. But because it's so high protein, it's a higher quality. And that's one of the reasons they buy from Montana versus other places. Mako, can you talk a little bit about what your office does to grow relationships with Japan?
So my office main purpose of having Montana State in Japan is to promote Montana. So the simple way I can explain by one sentence is just promoting Montana in general. But to do promote in any kind of field like industry, investment, trade, tourism, education, the common things, common work, common activities I do is to exhibit trade shows and conduct seminars, go out, speak, go meet people, and create and maintain website, and maybe maintain brochures. So those are the major activities I do. Additionally, because my office is based in Kumamoto, which is sister state of Montana, I need to work on a lot of activities between Kumamoto and Montana as well.
What would you say is one of your favorite projects that you've worked on for this state, or one of the most interesting projects? I know there's quite a few, but this one.
I always enjoy like connecting people or organizations after, if I ever find a good fit, and those two organizations or people they've never met before, create relationship. And for example, like between museums or between schools or between universities, they probably will become sister state or sister museums. So I'm able to get involved all process, like for the from introduction through the signing MOU, and which it always gives get me excited. But also because I've been doing this job for a long time, I also have a chance to attend and see the 5th anniversary or 10th anniversary or 15th anniversary. So I always enjoy, or maybe I should say, I think doing this kind of work makes me so happy, not only me being proud of, oh, okay, I get involved this job, this work, but also, you know, even after signing the MOU, they keep the relationship. That's why they could celebrate 5th and 10th, 15th anniversary. So I think my favorite part of doing this job will be maybe this whole situation I get to involved.
Well, you've definitely created a lot of relationships for us. I know that there are several that have celebrated 25th and 30 and 40-year anniversaries, and it's a credit to you that we have been able to sustain those.
Mm.
Is there anything you would like to add for the students before we sign off?
When I do school visit, I always share this with Japanese students. So I would like to share with Montanan students as well. As you probably be thinking, like even Mako is doing this job, she didn't think she will be doing this job, which could happen to you too. Now the world is getting shrink, it's getting shrink, like the distance wise, maybe you can get quicker by airplane, or relationship wise, the relationship is getting closer. No matter what occupation, what job you get, you will be ended up working with people from different countries, different backgrounds, and different customs. And it's so frustrated, you know, when I face to the moment you've been working with people from different countries and you get stressed because they don't understand you or you don't understand them, which is totally fine. So I would like to ask you students to accept the differences. I think if you get to know the differences, you will understand, because, you know, sometimes you never fully understand it. That's fine. I think accepting the differences is the most important things to work in a global world. So that's my message for students.
Thanks so much, Mako. We appreciate you being here with us, and I will talk to you soon.